My name is Emily. I'm 32 years old and I live in a small town in Ohio. From the outside, people think I'm blessed. They see my pictures on social media. Smiling at dinners, posing at family gatherings, holding hands with a man beside me. Twice in my life I wore a wedding dress. Twice I walked down an aisle. And twice people clapped for me and said, "You are so lucky." But late at night when the house is silent and the lights are off, I sit by the window and hold 2 wedding rings in my hands. One belongs to my past. One belongs to my present. And yet, neither feels like home. The truth is I have lived with a lie for many years. A lie I told everyone around me, but mostly I told it to myself. I said I was happy. I said I had moved on. I said my heart was healed. But inside I was still carrying wounds that never closed. I remember last night clearly. The rain was falling outside, soft against the glass. My husband was asleep in the other room, his breathing calm and steady. I should have felt safe. I should have felt loved. But instead I felt empty, like a stranger in my own life. People say marriage is about partnership, about building a future together. But how do you build when your foundation is cracked? How do you give love when your heart is still buried in the past? I pressed the rings into my palms so hard that they left marks on my skin. My chest was heavy, as if every breath I took carried the weight of my choices. I had promised myself that this time things would be different. That this marriage would save me from the ghosts of my first. But deep inside I already knew the truth. It doesn't matter how many times you say, "I do." If you are not whole, no vow can heal you. And then as I sat there in the dark, a thought crossed my mind that made me shiver. What if I never truly loved either of them? What if I've only been running from pain, running from loneliness, running from myself? I closed my eyes and tears slipped down my cheeks. For years I told everyone that I was fine. But the lie had finally grown too heavy to carry. Last night I looked at both wedding rings, and realized neither of them ever gave me love. The next morning, sunlight filled the kitchen. My husband was already there, humming softly while making coffee. He smiled at me the way he always does, with warmth and care. On the table he had set out my favorite breakfast: toast, scrambled eggs, and a glass of orange juice. To anyone looking from the outside, it would seem like a perfect morning. A caring husband. A cozy home. A wife who should feel grateful. I smiled back because that's what I always do. I said, "Thank you, that looks wonderful." My voice sounded normal, but inside it felt empty. This has been my life for years. Everything on the surface looking beautiful, while inside I feel like I'm living in a quiet prison. My husband is not cruel. He's not harsh. In fact, he's gentle, hardworking, and thoughtful. But every touch, every kiss, every plan he makes feels like it belongs to someone else's life, not mine. We sat together at the table. He asked about my day, about work, about whether I wanted to go out that evening. I nodded at the right moments, answered politely, laughed when I was supposed to. It's strange how well I have learned the art of pretending. Sometimes I wonder if he notices. Sometimes I wonder if he sees the distance in my eyes when he holds me. But he never says anything. Maybe he believes my smile. Or maybe he doesn't want to face the truth either. After breakfast he surprised me with a small gift. A necklace with a delicate silver chain. "Just because," he said, placing it around my neck. His hands were warm and his eyes were kind. I touched the necklace and whispered, "It's beautiful." But inside a question rose like fire. Why don't I feel anything? Why can't I love him the way he deserves? In the evenings we often sit together on the couch. He talks about work, about dreams for the future. Recently he has been speaking about starting a family. "I think we're ready," he told me one night, his eyes full of hope. "Imagine a little one running around this house." I nodded, but my throat tightened. The idea of bringing a child into this silence terrified me. How could I give life to someone else when I can barely feel alive myself? That night, while he cooked dinner, I went to the bedroom to put away laundry. As I opened his jacket to hang it, something slipped out of the pocket. A folded piece of paper. Curious, I picked it up and opened it. It was a note, my name written in his handwriting. My hands began to shake as I read. "Emily, I hope one day you will love me the way I love you." I froze. The words cut through me like glass. My heart pounded. He knew. He had felt my distance, my silence, my emptiness. All this time he had been waiting for a love that might never come. I placed the note back into his jacket, my hands trembling. Tears blurred my eyes. That night when he kissed me goodnight, I whispered, "I love you," but the words felt like lies slipping from my lips. He smiled and kissed my forehead gently, unaware that my heart was breaking inside. He kissed my forehead that night, but I was already drifting back to a past I tried so hard to erase. That night, after finding the note in his jacket, I couldn't sleep. I lay awake in the dark, staring at the ceiling, listening to the steady rhythm of his breathing beside me. His love was real, his presence was kind. But my heart was somewhere else, somewhere it shouldn't be. And then it happened. A memory returned, sharp and sudden, as if the past had been waiting for me to open the door. I remembered the smell of coffee in the mornings, the sound of a different man's laugh, the way my first husband used to hold me in his arms as if I were the only person in the world. His name was Daniel. We met when I was 24, young and still believing in forever. He was charming, spontaneous, full of dreams. He made me feel alive in a way no one else ever had. Our love burned fast and bright. Within a year we were married. People said we rushed, but I didn't care. I thought love was enough. I thought love could fix everything. I was wrong. The cracks began to show quickly. Daniel was restless. He wanted more out of life, more money, more adventure, more freedom. He stayed out late, made promises he didn't keep, and left me waiting by the window night after night. I told myself it was just a phase, that he would settle down. But the truth was harder. One evening I found messages on his phone. Messages from another woman. My chest went cold, my hands trembling as I read words I was never meant to see. He didn't even deny it. He just looked at me with tired eyes and said, "I'm sorry, Emily. I don't know how to love one person." That night a part of me broke forever. The divorce was quick, but the pain was not. I carried his ghost everywhere. In the songs we used to play, in the streets we walked, in the smell of his cologne that lingered on old clothes I couldn't throw away. I thought I would never survive it. Then I met Michael, my second husband. He was the opposite of Daniel in every way. Steady, reliable, gentle. He listened when I spoke. He showed up when he said he would. He made me feel safe, and after so much chaos, safety felt like love. At least that's what I told myself. When he asked me to marry him, I said yes. Not because my heart leapt the way it once had, but because I was tired of being alone. Tired of hurting. Tired of waiting for someone who would never come back. I thought a new marriage would erase the pain of the old one. I thought I could bury Daniel's ghost by building a new life. But ghosts don't disappear just because you close the door. They live in the corners of your heart, waiting for a moment to return. And mine did. A week after finding that note in Michael's jacket, I received a text message. My phone buzzed, and when I looked at the screen my heart stopped. It was his name. Daniel. I hadn't heard from him in 5 years. My hands shook so badly I almost dropped the phone. I opened the message. It was simple, almost casual, but it felt like a storm tearing through me. "Emily, I know I hurt you. I just wanted to say I'm sorry. I hope you're happy." Happy. The word felt like a cruel joke. I stared at the message for hours, my chest tightening, my mind spinning. All the memories I tried to bury rose to the surface, raw and alive. I didn't reply. I couldn't. But that night, as Michael reached for my hand in bed, all I could think about was Daniel's voice, Daniel's touch, Daniel's betrayal. My past had found me again, and I realized something terrifying. I never truly left him. Not in my heart. And that's when I understood why my second marriage felt so hollow. I hadn't built it on love. I had built it on escape. Michael wasn't my forever. He was my shelter from the storm I never healed from. But storms don't stay silent forever. I thought remarrying would heal me, until his name lit up my phone after 5 silent years. The day after Daniel's message, I tried to act normal. I made breakfast, washed the dishes, and smiled when Michael asked if I wanted to go for a walk in the park. But inside I was falling apart. The words on that screen wouldn't leave me. "I hope you're happy." They echoed in my mind like a cruel reminder of everything I wasn't. I didn't reply, but my silence didn't erase the storm inside me. I kept hearing Daniel's laugh in my memories, seeing his face in the corners of my mind. It wasn't love anymore, not the way it once was, but it was something I had never let go of. A wound I had covered but not healed. Michael noticed, of course. He always noticed. "Are you okay?" he asked gently one evening as we sat on the couch. "You've been quiet lately." I smiled, the same practice smile I always wore. "I'm fine. Just tired." He nodded, but I saw the sadness in his eyes. He didn't push me, and that made it worse. His kindness was like a mirror showing me how undeserving I was of him. I thought I could hide it, bury my thoughts, and continue playing the role of the good wife. But pretending doesn't heal you. Pretending only makes the silence louder. One afternoon I met my friend Rachel at a cafe. She had known me since college, back when Daniel and I were still together. She studied my face for a long time before she finally spoke. "Emily," she said softly, "you look like someone carrying a love that isn't yours anymore." Her words hit me like lightning. I froze, the coffee cup trembling in my hands. Tears stung my eyes and I looked away. "I thought marrying again would fix me," I whispered. "I thought starting over would erase everything. But it didn't. It just made me quieter." Rachel reached across the table and held my hand. "You can't heal by pretending the past never happened. You have to face it, Emily. Or it will keep haunting you." I wanted to tell her everything, about Daniel's message, about the note I found in Michael's jacket, about the way my heart felt split in two. But the words stayed locked inside. That night as I crawled into bed, I felt Michael's arm wrap around me. His warmth should have comforted me. Instead, guilt burned through my chest. And then something happened that broke the fragile silence we had been living in. I must have been dreaming, caught between sleep and memory, because I whispered a name aloud. Not his name. Not Michael's. I whispered, "Daniel." I woke to the sound of Michael's breathing shift. His arm pulled back. The bed felt colder, emptier. My heart raced as I realized what I had done. I turned, and there he was, lying beside me, staring at the ceiling with tears in his eyes. He didn't say a word. The silence between us said everything. The next morning he was quiet at breakfast. He made coffee, set it down in front of me, and sat without looking up. I wanted to speak, to explain, but what explanation could I give? That my past had slipped into my present? That I was still haunted by someone who had broken me years ago? Finally he spoke. His voice was calm, but his hands trembled slightly. "Emily," he said, "do you even see me when you look at me?" The question tore through me. My throat tightened and tears blurred my eyes. I wanted to say yes. I wanted to tell him that he was enough. But the truth was heavier than any lie I could create. I lowered my eyes, unable to meet his. Silence filled the room, thick and suffocating. That evening Rachel's words came back to me. "You can't heal by pretending." And I realized something I had been running from for years. I wasn't just hurting Michael. I was destroying myself. Because pretending doesn't heal you. Pretending only delays the pain. And when it finally arrives, it's sharper, crueler, impossible to escape. He touched my hand gently and asked, "Do you even see me when you look at me?" That's when I stopped pretending. The night after he asked me that question, "Do you even see me when you look at me?" I knew I couldn't keep hiding. His eyes, the pain in them, the way his voice cracked, it haunted me. For days I carried the weight of silence. I cooked meals, I smiled when neighbors waved, I lay beside him at night pretending to sleep. But inside I was crumbling. Every glance at him felt like a lie. Every touch felt stolen. One evening after dinner I couldn't hold it anymore. We sat in the living room, the soft light of the lamp filling the space between us. Michael was reading, his glasses perched low on his nose. I watched him quietly, studying the man who had given me nothing but love, and I felt the shame rise in my chest like fire. "Michael," I whispered, my voice trembling. He looked up, his eyes calm but guarded. He knew something was coming. "I need to tell you the truth," I said. My hands shook as I folded them in my lap. "I married you because I wanted to escape my past. Not because I was fully ready to love again." His face didn't change, but I saw the flicker in his eyes, hurt, quiet and deep. He put his book aside and leaned back, waiting. "My first marriage left scars," I continued, tears slipping down my cheeks. And I thought if I married again, if I started over, I would finally heal. But I didn't. I just carried the pain with me, and placed it between us. Michael exhaled slowly, his hands clasped tightly together. The silence stretched, heavy and unbearable. Finally he spoke, his voice soft but steady. "I already knew," he said. The words pierced me. My breath caught. "You knew?" I whispered. He nodded. "I could see it in your eyes. From the beginning. You looked at me kindly but never deeply. Kept hoping, Emily. Hoping that one day, your heart would find me the way mine found you." I broke then, sobbing quietly into my hands. "I'm so sorry," I cried. "You deserved someone who could love you with her whole heart. Not someone still living in the shadows of another." Michael reached out and touched my arm gently. "Don't apologize," he said softly. "You tried. And I loved you anyway. But love isn't something you can force. I know that now." The room was filled with silence again. Not angry silence. Not bitter. Just sorrow. Two people sitting in the wreckage of something that was never truly whole. "I don't want to keep hurting you," I whispered. He nodded, tears glistening in his eyes. "Then don't." That night I packed a small bag. Not because he asked me to, but because I knew it was the only way forward. We stood by the doorway facing each other. His eyes were red, his jaw tight, but his voice was gentle. "I wish you healing, Emily," he said. "I wish you peace." I swallowed hard, my chest aching. "And I wish you someone who can love you the way you deserve." I turned to leave, but just as I stepped outside, his voice stopped me. "Thank you," he said quietly. I turned back, confused. "For what?" His eyes softened. "For not lying one last time." Tears blurred my vision as I closed the door behind me. That single sentence echoed in my heart, heavier than anything I had ever heard. I walked away from the house, my bag in hand, knowing I had broken something good. But I also knew it was the truth. And sometimes truth destroys before it heals. I left that night. And as I closed the door, he said, "Thank you for not lying one last time." The first night alone was the hardest. I stayed in a small apartment on the edge of town, surrounded by boxes and silence. No familiar voice calling my name, no steady breathing beside me at night. Just me, my thoughts, and the echo of everything I had lost. For weeks I moved through life like a shadow. I went to work, I smiled when people spoke to me, but when I returned home I collapsed into the emptiness. Some nights I cried until I had no tears left. Other nights I just sat in the dark, staring at the walls, wondering how I had managed to break 2 marriages in one lifetime. But slowly something began to change. The silence that once felt unbearable started to feel different. Softer. Instead of filling it with lies or distractions, I let it stay. I sat with it. I wrote in a journal, pouring out every memory, every regret, every truth I had hidden from myself. For the first time in years I wasn't pretending. I began to take long walks in the evenings, breathing in the cool air, watching families in the park, couples holding hands, children chasing each other. Sometimes it hurt, but other times, it reminded me that life continues even when hearts break. One afternoon as I unpacked a box, I found a small envelope tucked between books. It was Michael's handwriting. My chest tightened as I sat down and carefully opened it. Inside was a short letter. "Emily, if you are reading this, it means you've moved on from our home. I want you to know I don't regret loving you, even if you couldn't love me back in the same way. You gave me laughter, moments of peace, and a part of yourself I will always cherish. Please don't carry guilt forever. Heal. Life. And when you are ready, I hope you find the kind of love that sets you free. Michael." Tears rolled down my cheeks as I held the letter against my heart. His kindness, even in goodbye, broke me in a way anger never could. He had been gentle from the start, and he was gentle in the end. And maybe that was my lesson. Love isn't about erasing pain or pretending wounds don't exist. Love is about truth. And truth, no matter how heavy, is the only way to heal. Now, months later, I'm learning to live differently. I write every morning. I walk every evening. I speak honestly when people ask how I'm doing. I don't say, "I'm fine." Instead I say, "I'm healing." Because that's the truth. I'm not whole yet. I may not be for a long time. But I'm not lying anymore. And that, I think, is the first step toward freedom. Sometimes I still hold those two wedding rings. One from my past, one from my present. They remind me of the choices I made, the lies I lived, and the truths I finally spoke. They remind me that pain doesn't disappear just because you try to replace it. Healing takes time. And love, real love, can only grow where truth is planted. If you've ever carried pain from one love into another, you're not alone. Tell me your story in the comments.